सेक्टर पर फोकस रहेगा हमारा, और आईटी सेक्टर के लिए जो इंडस्ट्री बॉडी है नैस्कॉम, उसका आज से समिट हो रहा है। वहाँ पर डिजिटल ट्रेंड्स क्या है, किस तरह का फीलर मिलता हुआ दिखाई देगा, इस सब पर चर्चा रहेगी। लेकिन इसी मौके पर आज हम नैस्कॉम के चेयरपर्सन मिस्टर कृष्णन रामानुजम को जोड़ रहे हैं। ये दरअसल टीसीएस के एंटरप्राइज बिजनेस को भी लीड करते हैं, और मैं इनसे यही समझना चाहूंगी कि इस समय ऑन ग्राउंड सिचुएशन कैसी है। मिस्टर रामानुजम, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे लिए समय निकालने के लिए। इनफैक्ट पिछले कुछ दिनों में ये हम काफी चर्चा सुन रहे हैं कि क्या क्लाइंट्स की तरफ से डिसीजन मेकिंग में भी डिले जारी रहेगा या नहीं। एक पर्टिकुलर कंपनी की तरफ से एक जो बातचीत हुई, उन्होंने कहा कि देखिए डील्स आ रही हैं लेकिन डील का रेवेन्यू कन्वर्जन नहीं होगा। तो अब अभी भी असमंजस है। ऑन ग्राउंड नैस्कॉम इस सिचुएशन को कैसे देख रहा है? क्या आपको अभी भी लगता है कि इंडस्ट्री थोड़े से सर्कमस्पेक्ट है ओवरऑल एनवायरनमेंट को लेकर, डिमांड को लेकर एंड क्लाइंट डिसीजन मेकिंग को लेकर?
It is very important to keep in context that we are coming off of a tremendous growth year, which in turn came on the back of a COVID-related down year. Right? So in many ways, the industry has seen a big downfall, and then it has jumped back up with equal fervor. I would say that this coming year is likely to be the first year in which there will be the effects of COVID not being there, and normal business cycle resumes. So when you look at it from that viewpoint, and when you benchmark it against the industry pre-COVID, I would say it will be a positive year, both in terms of the outlook as we see it currently. But as things stand now, thanks to the war in Ukraine and the concerns around inflation and what have you, the broader geopolitical and macroeconomic situation, things are a little muted as the year begins.
Okay.
Companies, particularly retail industry and consumer-facing industries, want to be careful. And while there are no major cancellations yet, customers are wanting to be careful about their investments, and decision-making is somewhat delayed.
Okay.
So I think it would be fair to say that there is cautious optimism in terms of how 2023 is expected to play out.
Okay, when you say cautious optimism, Mr. Ramanujam, can you give us an idea as to which vertical is more cautious and which vertical is rather optimistic? Because it's been a mixed bag, and क्या कुछ visibility है कि कहाँ पर सिचुएशन इंप्रूव होगी, या फिर कहाँ पर ये जो पेन है इनडिसाइसिवनेस का लिंगर ज्यादा कर सकता है?
So Harshada, it's very hard to call whether it is very close to the bottom or what, because given the nature of the issue, right, it's about geopolitics, it's about the macroeconomic environment, and we are living in a world that is as uncertain as we have seen so far. In fact, much more so than what we have seen in the past. So it's very difficult to call anything out. Just as an example, if you look at 2022, the year that just went by, when it began with a lot of optimism and promise, given the expectation of a resurgence and global growth after the COVID impact. But as the war raged on and the inflation and related macroeconomic situations panned out, the expected growth did not come out in the calendar year 2022, and it's actually ended on a rather somber note, right? Similarly, I would talk about the petrol prices, the state of attrition in the industry, which peaked as the year began, but then just as sharply it came down. So there are a lot of factors that are playing, and it would be fair to say that both the cycle in which the trends are increasing as well as decreasing have become much shorter. In other words, the change happens far too rapidly for us to be able to concretely call very many things out.
Okay.
So given that situation, it's very hard for me to say whether the...
Which is why perhaps you're saying you'd rather be cautiously optimistic than call out if we're at the bottom or closer to it. सर, एक और सवाल, स्पेशली एम्प्लॉय फ्रंट पर पिछले साल हमने देखा था डिमांड काफी अच्छी थी, और a lot of employees were leaving companies, going for better offers, etc. लेकिन पिछले 2 महीनों में ही हमने एक तो विप्रो की तरफ से सुना कि इन्होंने जो पैकेज दिया है फ्रेशर्स को, उसको अब आधा कर दिया है। साथ ही साथ कुछ मिड कैप कंपनियों ने अपनी ऑनबोर्डिंग फ्रेशर्स की काफी डीले कर दी है। इसे क्या संकेत पढ़ा जाए? क्या ये नॉर्मलाइजेशन है आफ्टर लास्ट 2 years ऑफ एक्सेसिव डिमांड, या फिर कंपनी इस समय प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द वर्स्ट की डिमांड अगर और कम हो सकती है, क्लाइंट्स की तरफ से दबाव आएगा तो इन कर्मचारियों को ऑनबोर्ड करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है?
I think I would say the latter, Harshada. Given the euphoria that existed around the same time last year, in terms of the growth prospects for the industry and the kind of outlay that our clients gave us in terms of how digital and technologies in particular are going to be a major investment theme for most industries, I think a lot of the member companies of Nasscom in the industry went and over-invested in that growth, right? So whenever the cycle turns, it is but natural that companies would want to make sure that the corresponding correction is also done, and I think that is what we are seeing.
Okay.
Given the long-term nature of our industry and the long-term secularism that we see in terms of technology adoption by most industries, I am reasonably confident that this will turn sooner rather than later.
Okay, तो ये इनफैक्ट जो स्थिति है एम्प्लॉयमेंट फ्रंट पर बेहतर होती हुई दिखाई देगी और जल्द से जल्द बेहतर होने की उम्मीद जरूर है। मुझे याद है जब 2022 में हम उतरे थे तो डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन साइकिल से कंपनियां गुजर रही हैं, आपके क्लाइंट्स गुजर रहे हैं। ये एक सुर में आप सभी कंपनियों ने कहा था, द इंडस्ट्री बॉडी ऑल्सो सेकेंडेड इट। ये मुझे बताइए कि इस समय किस तरह के इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हो रहे हैं इस डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन में, स्पेशली ऑन द क्लाउड मेटावर्स फ्रंट?
No, Harshada, cloud will be the underlying fabric, if you will, for most digital transformations. And many of the other technologies that we talk about, such as metaverse, actually ride on top of the cloud, which is why, being the underlying fabric for most transformations, cloud is arguably the most important technological development over the next decade, at least, if not more. When you look at it from that point of view, how far away is the cloud from being the unifying digital fabric, if you will, of the estate? I think I would say we are still a little over a third of the way through, and 2/3 of the way still remains in terms of complete adoption of the cloud by enterprises. But with that said, I think the relatively easier portion of the cloud migrations and transformations are largely nearing the end. And what comes now will be the relatively more difficult and harder portions of the estates to move into the cloud. But importantly, the transformative benefits that will accrue to the enterprises will also be much greater. This is where the capabilities of the SIs, the member companies of Nasscom, in terms of being able to reimagine our customers' businesses, leveraging cloud as the key digital fabric, underlying fabric, will really come to the fore. And from this point forward, a lot of the hype around what a great opportunity cloud is will give way to the companies and the clients who are able to leverage cloud for truly transformational benefits. So I would say in some ways, men will be separated from the boys in the coming year and the years ahead,
right,
in terms of how cloud is best leveraged as a tool for industry transformation.
आई एम श्योर एक बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी भारतीय आईटी कंपनियों के लिए रहेगी भी। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मिस्टर रामानुजम हमारे लिए समय निकालने के लिए, एंड हैव अ ग्रेट इवेंट सर। चलिए इसी नोट पर हम लेंगे एक छोटा सा ब्रेक, लेकिन ब्रेक के बाद फोकस रहेगा हमारे जानकारों ने जो ट्रेड्स दिए हैं उसका कितना फायदा ये कमा रहे हैं। एक रिकैप लेकर आएंगे खिलाड़ी नंबर 1 का, बने रहें।